The crystal chandelier above table 12 shattered the quiet hum of the dining room like a slap across the face, not with shards of glass, but with the sharp crack of a man's laughter, laced with venom that cut deeper than any blade. Ariana froze mid-stride, her tray balanced precariously with 2 flutes of vintage champagne, the bubbles rising like futile whispers against the storm brewing at the corner booth. In that instant, as the woman's voice slithered out next, dripping with mock sympathy, "Oh, darling, look at her ring. Must be desperate for attention in this city." Ariana felt the weight of every hidden scar from her past ignite, a fire she'd long learned to stoke into quiet strength, but tonight, on their gilded anniversary, it threatened to consume her whole. She was 32, with calluses on her palms from years of scrubbing counters and dreams alike, her short-cropped hair framing a face that had smiled through betrayal sharper than this. New York had forged her in its relentless forge. Immigrant parents from Mexico who whispered prayers for normalcy, a first love stolen by fear in the shadowed alleys of the Bronx, and now this. Haven's End, her sanctuary disguised as a high-end bistro in Soho, where the elite came to preen, and she served not just plates, but illusions of perfection. But perfection cracked under pressure, and tonight, Victor and Elaine Hargrove, heirs to a real estate empire that devoured neighborhoods like hers once upon a time, were the hammer. Ariana set the glasses down with deliberate grace, her hazel eyes locking onto Victor's flushed cheeks, the way his Armani tie hung like a noose he'd willingly tightened. "Compliments of the house for your special evening," she said, her voice steady as the Hudson on a windless night, though inside, the river raged. Elaine leaned forward, her diamonds glinting like accusations, scanning Ariana's simple silver band, the one etched with a tiny rainbow arc, a quiet vow to Sophia, the woman who'd mended her heart 3 years ago after the world tried to break it. "How quaint," Elaine purred, her lips curling into a smile that didn't reach her ice-blue eyes. "A little rainbow for the rainbow girl. Tell me, does your partner know you're out here playing pretend wife to strangers?" The dining room seemed to hold its breath, forks pausing midair, conversations fracturing into uneasy silences. Ariana's pulse thrummed in her ears, a drumbeat of old wounds, the taunts in high school locker rooms, the disownment from her father, who couldn't reconcile his daughter's love with his rosary beads. The night Sophia's hand in hers was the only anchor against a tide of hate mail after their small wedding photo leaked online. But she was no victim tonight. She was the architect of this space, every reclaimed brick a testament to rising above. "Enjoy your evening," she replied, turning away before the words could snag on her tongue, but Victor's hand shot out, grazing her wrist, not hard, but enough to halt her. "Waitress," he boomed, drawing eyes like moths to a flame. "What's your story? You look like you've got one. Spill it. Make our night entertaining." Laughter rippled from their table, joined by a sycophantic couple nearby, the kind who orbited wealth like planets around a dying sun. Ariana pulled her arm back gently, her skin tingling with the unwelcome touch, memories flooding unbidden, Sophia's soft warnings about nights like this, her lover's dark curls spilling over pillows as she murmured, "You're stronger than their smallness, mi amor." Stronger, yes, but human, and tonight, the line blurred. She straightened, channeling the fire into fuel. "My story? It's written in the specials board, fresh, unexpected, and best savored slowly." A few chuckles broke the tension from other tables, but Victor's face darkened, his ego bruised by her deflection. Elaine tittered, waving her manicured hand dismissively. "Oh, she's feisty. Must be all that alternative lifestyle energy. Victor, remember that gala last year? The one with the inclusive caterers who ruined the lobster?" They dissolved into shared mirth, oblivious to the storm they'd stirred, but Ariana felt it brewing deeper, in the kitchen where her staff, a chosen family of queer hearts and immigrant souls, watched through the pass window, fists clenched. As she retreated to the server station, wiping down a spotless glass to steady her hands, the door to the back swung open. There stood Mia, The sous chef with fire-red hair tied in a messy bun and tattoos snaking up her arms like vines reclaiming a wall. Olive skin glowing under the fluorescent lights, 28 and fierce, the kind of woman who baked empanadas with secret messages of love inside. They'd met 2 years ago, when Mia was fleeing a bad breakup in Chicago, her duffel bag slung over one shoulder and a resume crumpled in her fist. "Heard the Vipers at 12, Mia whispered, sliding a fresh napkin toward Ariana, her green eyes flashing with protective fury. "You okay, boss?" Ariana nodded, but the mask slipped just a fraction, enough for Mia to see the crack. "Always am. Just." Their anniversary venom hits different tonight. Mia's hand brushed hers, a spark that lingered longer than professional courtesy, unspoken electricity humming between them since Sophia's ghost had faded into cherished memory. Sophia had been the calm to Ariana's storm, but Mia? She was the lightning that promised to illuminate it all. "Let me plate something extra for them." With a side of regret, Mia said, winking, but Ariana shook her head. "No. We rise above. That's the rule." Back in the fray, the Hargroves escalated, their voices carrying like smoke signals of entitlement. Victor ordered the wine list with a snap of fingers, then leaned into Elaine, loud enough for the room. "Bet she picked this place thinking it'd be slumming it with us normals. Little does she know, we're the ones keeping dives like this afloat." Elaine's giggle was a shard, piercing Ariana as she approached with the bottle, a rare Bordeaux she'd sourced from a queer-owned vineyard in Napa, a quiet rebellion in every pore. "Here you are," Ariana said, uncorking with practiced ease, the pop echoing like a gunshot in her mind. Victor snatched the glass, swirling it with feigned expertise. "Not bad for waitress wages. What's a girl like you make, anyway? Enough for that tacky jewelry?" He nodded at her ring, and Elaine chimed in, "Or the therapy bills for whatever this is." The words landed like punches, each one echoing the slurs Ariana had internalized as a teen, the ones that drove her to drop out of culinary school, only to claw her way back by washing dishes until her hands bled. But something shifted then. A hush fell as the restaurant's owner, or so they thought the manager, emerged from the office. It was Lena, Ariana's right hand, a 50-something black lesbian with silver-streaked hair and a gaze that could level mountains, her presence a shield for the underdogs. "Everything all right here?" Lena asked, her voice velvet over steel. The Hargroves waved her off, but Victor's bluster faltered under her stare. "Just chatting with your staff. She's got spirit. Too much, perhaps." Lena's eyes met Ariana's, a silent pact forged in late-night inventory counts and shared bottles of tequila after closing. "Our staff has more spirit than most have soul," Lena replied coolly, then turned to Ariana. "Take 5, love. I've got this." As Ariana slipped away, the weight lifted fractionally, but the night's poison lingered, seeping into her bones. In the alley behind Haven's End, the autumn chill bit at her skin, New York's skyline a jagged crown of lights mocking her momentary escape. She lit a cigarette, a rare vice, saved for fractures like this, inhaling deeply as tears pricked unbidden. Why did it still hurt? After building this from nothing, after loving fiercely despite the world's recoil? Footsteps crunched gravel, and Mia appeared, apron dusted with flour, her breath fogging in the cold. "Couldn't let you smoke alone," she said, pulling out her own pack, their shoulders brushing in the narrow space. They stood in silence at first, the city's pulse thrumming around them, taxis honking, distant laughter from a bar, the whisper of leaves skittering like secrets. "They're celebrating 20 years, Ariana finally said, exhaling smoke toward the stars. "And they spend it tearing down someone else's." Mia turned, her face softened by the street lamp's glow, freckles dusting her nose like constellations. 20 years of what? Poison? You and Sophia had 3, and it was more real than their empire. The mention stung sweet, Sophia's laugh echoing in Ariana's mind, her partner's gentle hands braiding flowers into her hair on lazy Sundays in their tiny Brooklyn walk-up. But Sophia's gone, Ariana whispered, the words raw, a grief she'd buried under ledgers and laughter. Cancer had stolen her 2 Thanksgivings ago, swift and merciless, leaving Ariana adrift until Mia's arrival, with her easy grins and recipes that tasted like home. Mia's hand found hers now, thumb tracing the ring's edge. Gone, but not forgotten. And you're here, building something beautiful. That's love, too. Their eyes met, and in that gaze, possibility flickered. Not replacement, but renewal, a bridge over the chasm. Inside, the dinner service churned on, plates gliding like dreams deferred. Ariana re-entered through the kitchen door, the heat and clamor wrapping around her like an embrace. Orders shouted in Spanglish, the sizzle of seared scallops, the clink of ice in shakers, her world, hard-won and holy. As she reclaimed her section, Table 12's eyes tracked her, Victor's smirk a challenge. Back for more, Rainbow? Bring the check early. We've had our fill of ambience. She smiled then, genuine and sharp, pouring water with steady hands. The night's young, sir. Sometimes the best courses come last. Elaine rolled her eyes, but a flicker of unease crossed her face, perhaps sensing the shift, the way the room leaned toward Ariana now, whispers of solidarity from tables she'd served faithfully. A young couple nearby, hands intertwined under the table, 2 women, rings glinting, raised their glasses subtly in her direction, a quiet toast that warmed her more than any fire. The evening wore on, a tightrope walk of civility and simmer. Victor's barbs grew slurred with wine, Elaine's laughter brittle as autumn leaves. Ariana dodged and weaved, her responses laced with wit that bordered on warning, drawing admiring glances from patrons who'd become regulars, the theater director who booked the private room for queer open mics, the tech couple funding scholarships for LGBTQ youth. Each interaction a brick in her fortress, but the Hargroves chipped away, their entitlement a siege. Then, as dessert menus circulated, Mia emerged from the kitchen with a flourish, a custom creation, chocolate torte layered with raspberry coulis, shaped like intertwined hearts, dusted with edible gold. Compliments of the chef, she announced to the room, but her eyes locked on Ariana, the gesture a lifeline tossed across the divide. The Hargroves accepted with sneers, Victor forking in aggressively. Not bad. Your girlfriend make this? Figures, sweet on the outside, bitter core. The room stilled again, heavier this time. Ariana stepped forward, her voice carrying like a siren's call. Actually, that's my sous chef. Talented hands, sharper tongue when provoked. Mia grinned beside her, shoulder to shoulder, the air between them charged with unspoken alliance. Elaine's fork clattered. Your sous chef? How very modern. But the hook had set, the night twisted toward revelation, the undercurrents pulling stronger. As closing neared, with the Hargroves demanding the bill in haughty tones, Lena appeared once more, this time with a ledger in hand. Not just any, but the ownership papers, crisp and commanding. Mr. and Mrs. Hargrove, she said, her tone brooking no interruption. Before you settle up, a word from the owner. Ariana felt the shift before it landed, her heart pounding a rhythm of vindication and sorrow. The couple straightened, expectant, until Lena gestured to her. Ariana Vasquez, founder and proprietor of Haven's End. It's been enlightening hosting you tonight. Victor Hargrove's face drained of color faster than wine spilling from an overturned glass, his fork suspended midair as if gravity had betrayed him. Elaine's hand flew to her throat, clutching pearls that suddenly seemed cheap against the truth unfurling before them. Ariana, the waitress they dismissed like yesterday's trash, stood not as servant but sovereign, her posture unyielding, eyes holding a depth of stories they'd never bothered to read. The dining room, once a neutral stage, crackled with the electricity of comeuppance, patrons leaning in, phones discreetly angled to capture the unraveling of privilege. You, Victor sputtered, his voice a wheeze that echoed off the exposed brick walls, the very ones Ariana had painted herself during renovations. each stroke a defiance against the developers who'd eyed this block for condos. But the uniform, the deference, this is a joke, right? Some viral stunt. Laughter bubbled from the shadows, not mocking, but affirming, from the bartender who'd come out to his conservative family over shots here, from the busser whose visa she'd sponsored after ICE raids. No, this was no stunt. It was reckoning. Ariana's smile was a blade, honed by years of swallowing slights. No joke, Mr. Hargrove. I wait tables because I believe in serving, truly serving, with ears open and judgments closed. You see, this place isn't just walls and wine. It's a haven for those the world mocks first. Her words wove through the air, rich with the emotion of her journey. The nights she'd slept on the restaurant floor, blueprints spread like lovers' letters, dreaming of a space where love like hers, fierce, unapologetic, could breathe free. Sophia had been there in spirit, her sketch of the logo still framed behind the bar, a blooming rose entwined with thorns. Elaine recovered first, her composure a brittle veneer cracking at the edges. This is outrageous. We'll sue. Discrimination. You let your personal issues affect service. But the threat hung limp, deflated by the murmurs rippling outward. Did you hear what they said earlier? She's a hero for putting up with that. Victor slammed his napkin down, rising unsteadily, his chair scraping like a confession dragged from the dark. Lena stepped forward, her presence a bulwark, but Ariana raised a hand. This was hers to close. Sue? For what, exactly? For overhearing your compliments? Or for building something from the ground up while you inherit scraps? The room inhaled collectively. Mia, hovering at the kitchen door, bit her lip to stifle a cheer, her green eyes proud as a dawn breaking. In that moment, Ariana glimpsed it again, the pull between them, not thunder but a steady current, the kind that could light a lifetime if tended. The Hargroves stormed out, Victor muttering about Yelp reviews and lawyers, Elaine's heels clicking recriminations into the night. But as the door swung shut, applause erupted, spontaneous, heartfelt, a wave crashing over Ariana like absolution. She laughed, tears blurring the edges, hugging Mia fiercely amid the chaos, their embrace lingering in the flour-dusted apron and the scent of vanilla on skin. You were magnificent, Mia whispered, her breath warm against Ariana's ear, stirring embers long banked. Cleanup began in earnest, the staff buzzing with retellings, bottles popped in victory toasts. But as the lights dimmed to a glow, Ariana lingered at the bar, tracing the grain of the wood. Oak from a mill in Pennsylvania, sourced ethically after she'd turned down a deal from Hargrove Holdings years back. That rejection had nearly bankrupted her, forcing the uniform upon her shoulders, but it had also sharpened her vision. Haven's End as more than eatery, a beacon for the marginalized, hosting fundraisers for trans youth shelters, pride potlucks that fed souls as much as stomachs. Mia joined her, sliding onto a stool with 2 glasses of mezcal, the amber liquid catching firelight. To owners who wait tables, she toasted, clinking gently. Ariana sipped, the smoke curling smooth, easing the knot in her chest. And to chefs who see through the bullshit. Their knees brushed under the bar, accidental at first, then not, a dance of proximity, testing waters warmed by shared glances over mise en place, late shifts where recipes became confessions. Tell me about Sophia, Mia said softly, unprompted, her vulnerability a gift. Ariana paused, the name a key unlocking vaults. She was sunlight, laughed at my disasters, held me when the bank called. We met at a protest, her sign reading, "Love wins," while mine screamed it. 3 years. Felt like forever, until it wasn't. Her voice cracked, but Mia's hand covered hers, steady as roots. I'm sorry. But you're sunlight too, Ariana. Don't hide it. The conversation flowed like the mezcal, weaving pasts into presents. Mia's escape from a Midwestern family who prayed away her queerness, her first tattoo of phoenix rising from Bible verses torn and reformed. Ariana shared the restaurant's birth pangs, the investor who balked at gay branding, the fire that gutted the kitchen 6 months in, Sophia's hands bandaged from hauling debris. Laughter mingled with tears, the bar becoming confessional, the city outside a distant hum. By midnight, the mezcal bottle stood sentinel, and Mia's head rested on Ariana's shoulder, her red hair spilling like autumn fire. "What now?" Mia murmured, fingers tracing idle patterns on Ariana's palm. Ariana tilted her chin, meeting those green depths, seeing not replacement, but resonance, a love that honored the old while beckoning new. "Now? We open tomorrow. And maybe we try breakfast sometime. Just us." Mia's smile bloomed slow, radiant. "I'd like that. Very much." Dawn crept in with the milk delivery, but Ariana lay awake in her loft above the restaurant, the city's heartbeat syncing with her own. The confrontation replayed in fragments, Victor's pallor, Elaine's gasp, but beneath it, a deeper current stirred, the way Mia's touch had anchored her, a promise of tomorrow's unscarred. She rose, brewing coffee strong as resolve, scrolling reviews on her phone. Already, posts flickered. "Best night ever. Truth served hotter than the steak." Hashtags bloomed. Haven's pride eat with heart. Downstairs, the crew assembled, Lena cracking jokes over coffee, the dishwasher belting show tunes, Mia prepping dough with rhythmic thuds that echoed like heartbeats. Ariana joined them, apron tied fresh, the uniform no longer camouflage but choice. "Family meeting," she called, gathering them around the prep table, flour dusting air like confetti. "Last night, we didn't just survive, we shone. That's us, unbreakable." Cheers rose, hugs exchanged, and as service ramped, Ariana felt the shift, patrons trickling in early, whispers of the tale spreading like wildfire on social feeds. A blogger at Table 5 waved her over, notebook open. "Heard about the showdown. Mind if I quote you on resilience?" Ariana leaned in, voice steady. "Resilience isn't armor, it's the choice to love louder after every hit." Midday brought a surprise, a delivery from Napa, the vineyard owner's note reading, "To the warrior who pours our wine and her truth. More bottles on us." Tears pricked again, but joyful this time, shared with Mia over a stolen lunch in the walk-in, shelves of produce of verdant cocoon. "You're viral," Mia teased, popping a cherry tomato into Ariana's mouth, their laughter close, intimate. Afternoon waned into rush, tables turning like pages in a redemption arc. Then, the door chimed with hesitation. Elaine Hargrove, alone, coat clutched like a shield, eyes downcast. The room hushed, instincts primed, but Ariana approached, calm as a confessor. "Mrs. Hargrove. Table for one." Elaine nodded, voice small. "I came to apologize. Victor's at home, nursing his pride, but I couldn't sleep. What we said, it was ugly. Small." She slid an envelope across the linen. A check, substantial, earmarked for the restaurant's community fund. "For the kids you help. And I'm sorry for assuming your life was less because it looked different from mine." Ariana sat, uninvited but welcome, the envelope untouched. "Apology accepted. But keep the check. Donate it yourself. Feel the weight of giving back." Elaine's eyes welled, a crack in her facade revealing the woman beneath, a marriage frayed by years of performative wealth, a daughter she'd lost to estrangement over her own unvoiced truths. 20 years, she whispered. "But last night I saw what real partnership looks like. You and your team, your chef." Mia, passing by with water pitchers, paused, a flush creeping up her neck. Ariana caught it, the thread pulling taut. "It's a start," she said to Elaine. "Love's not a competition. It's a table set for all." As Elaine left, lighter somehow, the staff exhaled, buzzing anew. Evening fell soft, strings of lights twinkling like stars reclaimed. Ariana and Mia closed together, wiping counters side by side, elbows brushing sparks. "Dinner after?" Mia asked, casual but loaded. Ariana turned, cupping her face gently, thumbs tracing jawline. "Dinner. And whatever comes after." Their first kiss was tentative, born in the quiet after chaos, lips meeting soft, tasting of salt and sweetness, the restaurant wrapping around them like blessing. Hands explored with reverence, mapping scars and strengths, the world outside fading to irrelevance. In that embrace, Ariana felt Sophia smile from afar, approving the bloom of new petals on old roots. Weeks blurred into a rhythm redefined, mornings with Mia's coffee-scented wake-ups in the loft, afternoons of menu tweaks where flavors mirrored their growing ease, spicy notes of passion, cool balances of trust. Haven's End thrived, bookings surging, media calls pouring in. Ariana fielded them with grace, her story not of revenge but reclamation. "We mock what we fear. I choose to feed it love instead." One crisp November eve, as snow dusted Soho's streets, Ariana proposed over candlelight at their own table 12, rings simple, rainbow-etched, passed from Sophia's memory to this future. Mia's yes was a vow, tear-streaked and sure, sealing a chapter with humanity's quiet power, that from mockery's ashes, love rises, unmocked, eternal. But the piece was a fragile veneer, cracked open 3 months later by a letter stamped with Hargrove Holdings' eagle emblem, not an olive branch, but a declaration of war. Victor, ego inflamed by viral clips of his humiliation, had rallied his board, a hostile takeover bid for the Soho block, Haven's End squarely in the crosshairs for demolition into luxury lofts. Prime real estate, the notice read, cold as a foreclosure slip, valued at progress. Ariana's hands trembled as she read it aloud to the staff, the kitchen's warmth turning tomb-like, faces paling under the harsh fluorescence. "This can't be," Lena muttered, her silver hair catching light like frayed wiring. "We fought developers before, permits, petitions. We won then." But Ariana knew the stakes had shifted. Victor's vendetta was personal, a tyrant's tantrum dressed in legalese. Mia, beside her, gripped the counter edge, knuckles white as bone. "We'll fight dirtier this time. Lawyers? Crowdfunding? I'll bake 1,000 protest pies if it kills me." Her fire was a balm, but Ariana's mind raced to darker waters. The loans she'd taken to rebuild after the fire, the equity tied to this brick-and-mortar heart. Lose it, and she'd lose more than livelihood, the soul space where Sophia's laughter still lingered in the walls. That night, in the loft's cocoon of exposed beams and threadbare rugs, Ariana paced, shadows dancing like specters. Mia watched from the bed, legs tucked under, her red hair a halo in lamplight. "Talk to me," she urged, voice soft but insistent, the kind that peeled back defenses without force. Ariana collapsed beside her, head in lap, the letter crumpling in her fist. "It's not just the building. It's everything I built to prove I was enough. After Dad called me an abomination, after Sophia's funeral where half the guests whispered karma. This place was my proof. Love wins, queer wins, brown girl from the Bronx wins." Mia's fingers combed through her hair, rhythmic as a lullaby. "You don't need proof. You're enough in the quiet moments, like when you hum off-key to the radio, or burn the rice but make it taste like home." Laughter bubbled, reluctant but real, easing the vice around Ariana's chest. They made love then, slow and anchoring, bodies a map of affirmations, kisses tracing collarbones like signatures, whispers of stay against sweat-damp skin. In Mia's arms, the world narrowed to breath and belonging, a respite before battle. Dawn brought strategy sessions in the dining room, tables shoved aside for laptops and legal pads. Lena called in favors, a pro bono attorney from the Queer Legal Alliance, a city councilor who dined here during Pride Month. The staff rallied. Fundraisers planned, social blasts scripted, even a mural on the alley wall by a local trans artist, depicting intertwined hands shattering chains. Ariana fronted it all, her uniform traded for blazers, voice steady in interviews. This isn't about one man's bruised pride. It's about who gets to claim space in this city, the dreamers or the destroyers. Victor struck first, his PR machine churning smears. Anonymous tips to outlets painting Haven's End as a radical hotspot, code for queer haven, scaring off conservative investors. Bookings dipped, whispers turning wary, but the community surged, drag brunches packed, allies marching with signs reading, "Save our sanctuary." Mia's innovation shone. Pop-up events in the kitchen, cooking classes for at-risk youth, each ticket a brick in the defense wall. Tension peaked at the community board hearing, a stuffy hall in lower Manhattan reeking of stale coffee and stale power. Ariana testified first, voice unwavering as she recounted the restaurant's birth. "I washed dishes for years, pockets empty but heart full. Haven's End isn't property, it's pulse, feeding 500 families weekly through our outreach, hosting vigils after Pulse, after the latest shooting in Atlanta." Applause rippled, but Victor's lawyer countered slickly. Sentimentality versus economics. Progress demands sacrifice. Sacrifice. The word clawed at Ariana, evoking Sophia's last days. Chemo's toll. The way she'd squeezed her hand and said, "Fight for the soft places, Amor. They're the ones that heal the world." Mia, seated beside her, slipped a note into her palm. A doodle of a phoenix wearing an apron, wings spread wide. Strength renewed. Ariana rose for rebuttal. Economics? Try humanity. Your client's empire was built on evictions like my parents', families torn from homes for progress. But progress, without people, is just plunder. The room erupted, counselors nodding, the vote teetering. Outside, protesters chanted, queer voices, immigrant choruses, a tapestry of the marginalized Mia had helped organize over midnight tacos. As adjournment called, Victor cornered her in the lobby, face twisted in faux civility. "Call off your circus, Vasquez. Sign the papers, and I'll make it worth your while." His eyes raked over her, lingering on the rainbow pin at her lapel, disdain thinly veiled. Ariana met his gaze, unflinching. "Worth? You couldn't afford my dignity." Mia appeared then, linking arms, her presence a shield. "Or hers," she added, voice steel. Victor recoiled, stalking away, but the seed of doubt was planted. In him, perhaps, or in the board watching from afar. Back at Haven's, victory tasted bittersweet. The hearing delayed the bid, but war loomed. Nights blurred into vigils, Ariana's loft a war room of maps and manifestos. Doubt crept in whispers. What if we lose? Mia countered with actions, a rooftop garden planted under stars, herbs thriving as symbols of persistence. Their love deepened in the fray, stolen moments amid chaos, a dance in the empty dining room to old salsa records, hips swaying to rhythms of resilience. One storm-lashed evening, as thunder rattled windows, Elaine appeared unannounced, drenched and diminished, a bottle of that Napa Bordeaux in hand. "Victor doesn't know," she confessed over tea at the bar, voice trembling. "He's unraveling. The board's pulling back after the hearing. But I came for me." Tears fell, splashing like rain. "Our daughter's coming out next month to us. And I realized, after your words, I've been the mocker all along, hiding my own fears in cruelty." Ariana listened, the bottle a bridge between foes. "Fear's the real destroyer. Let her love guide you." Elaine nodded, leaving with a hug, tentative, transformative. Word spread, Victor's resolve cracked, the bid withdrawn in a terse email days later. Reevaluation of priorities. Relief washed over Havens like spring tide, the block secured, the community toasting with elation. But for Ariana, the win was layered, not just survival, but the mending of fractures, Elaine's olive branch a reminder that even mockers could learn humanity's curve. In the quiet after, with snow melting into promise, Ariana and Mia stood on the roof, City lights a carpet below. We did it, Mia breathed, forehead to Ariana's. Together. Their kiss sealed it, not end, but endless, a love story etched in the skyline, proving that from mockery's sting blooms the deepest grace. Yet grace, Ariana learned, was no shield against the ghosts that lingered in victory's shadow. 2 weeks after the takeover crumbled, a package arrived unmarked, heavy with finality. Sophia's journals, forwarded by her sister's estate, pages yellowed with marginalia of their shared dreams. Ariana retreated to the loft, knees drawn to chest on the worn leather couch, flipping through entries that bled emotion. Ari's laugh is my compass, points true north through storms. Sketches of the restaurant before it was born, notes on recipes they'd invent together, tamales infused with hibiscus for their first anniversary, never made. Mia found her there at dusk, curled like a question mark, tears carving tracks on cheeks. "Hey," she said softly, kneeling, book in lap like a relic. "She sent these?" Ariana nodded, words strangled. "It's like losing her twice. We were building this. Us, the place. And now it's mine, but without her echo, it feels hollow." Mia gathered her close, journals set aside, her embrace a harbor. "Echoes don't fade, they harmonize. Let me hear them with you." They read aloud into the night, voices weaving past and present. Sophia's quips on bad dates before Ariana, disaster central, send help and tequila. Dreams of a family, adopt a kiddo who needs our kind of loud love. Laughter broke through grief, Mia's insights gentle bridges. "She sounds like firecracker, but she'd grill me on my knife skills." Ariana smiled, faint but real, the hollowness easing as stories bridged the void. Spring unfurled green and insistent, havens and blooming anew, rooftop bees humming over herbs, windows flung wide to breeze off the Hudson. Business rebounded, but Ariana sought deeper roots, proposing a memorial wing. Sophia's Nook, a private dining space for intimate gatherings, walls lined with guest books for love stories shared. The crew embraced it, Mia sketching layouts over breakfasts of kiloquiles, her ideas sparking like flint, floating shelves for photos, a mural of roses in rainbow hues. Construction began amid the rush, sawdust mingling with spice scents, a symphony of renewal. But external winds stirred. A local paper's profile on Ariana painted her as the underdog owner, glossing over queer heart, drawing trolls online, slurs and comments, threats veiled as concerned citizens. One night, as she locked up, a brick crashed through the window, scrawled with "Go back to Mexico, dyke." Glass shattered like her composure, shards slicing palm as she swept, blood mixing with fury. Mia arrived minutes later, alerted by the alarm, wrapping the cut with tender curses. "Bastards. We'll board it, but tomorrow, cameras, cops, the works." Ariana leaned into her, the sting secondary to shame's burn. "Why does it follow? I won the fight, but the hate. It's endless." Mia's eyes flashed, fierce protector. "Not endless. We're the wave that wears it down.
And tonight?
We fortify." They did, calling Lena for backup, installing lights that pierce night like beacons. Social media turned the attack into rally cry. Protect havens, donations flooding for security upgrades, allies posting stories of their own scars. Elaine Hargrove even contributed anonymously, a note enclosed, "For the windows you opened in me." As summer scorched sidewalks, Sophia's Nook debuted with a soft opening, invitation only, filled with couples like them, women hand in hand, trans elders sharing cake, a young poet reciting verses on love's defiance. Ariana emceed, voice thick. "This space is for the loves that dare, the ones mocked, mourned, but never muted." Mia stood beside, hand in hers, their union a quiet anchor amid applause. Post-launch, life flared richer. Weekend getaways to the Catskills, where they hiked trails hand-clasped, picnics of Mia's wild mushroom risotto under canopies. Conversations deepened, Talks of family, perhaps freezing embryos or fostering. Dreams once deferred, now dared. With you? Ariana confessed one starlit night by a campfire. I feel whole again. Not fixed, expanded. Mia's response was a kiss, slow burning as embers. You're the expansion I didn't know I craved. Their intimacy evolved too, explorations tender yet bold, lazy mornings tracing tattoos with tongues, evenings where roles blurred in laughter-laced play. Love, Ariana realized, was verb as much as noun, doing, becoming, in the everyday sacred. Autumn returned with its harvest golds, Haven's End hosting a Pride Harvest Festival, booths of queer vendors, live music from a Sapphic band, rainbow flags snapping in wind. Ariana and Mia danced under strung lights, bodies sinking effortless, the crowd a sea of acceptance. But mid-twirl, a familiar face emerged, Ariana's father, Ramon, graying and gaunt, standing awkward at the periphery, a bouquet of marigolds clutched like pennants. Heart stuttered. She approached, Mia's hand a lifeline at her back. Papa? His eyes, once stormy with disapproval, softened in defeat.
Mia.
I saw the news. The brick, the fight. Your mother, she prays for you still, but I was wrong. The church said one thing, but my heart knew better. Words tumbled, regrets over the disownment, years of silence broken by Sophia's passing, a therapist's nudge toward amends. I want to know her, this life you built. Tears fell mutual, hugs hesitant then healing. Come inside, Ariana said, guiding him to a table laden with tamales, Sophia's recipe, Mia's twist. Over bites, stories flowed. Ramon's immigrant struggles mirroring hers, a quiet admission of his own hidden affections in youth, stifled by machismo. Mia charmed with easy warmth, drawing laughs, bridging the chasm. As leaves fell, family mended in increments, dinners where Ramon learned Mia's name in full, questions about the restaurant laced with pride. You own this? My girl, a queen. The word queen landed loaded, reclaimed, drawing Ariana's throat tight. Winter's hush brought holidays redefined. A queer Christmas Eve potluck, Ramon's empanadas joining the spread, toasts to absence and presence. New Year's Eve, as confetti rained in Times Square broadcasts, Ariana pulled Mia to the roof, champagne flutes raised. To us, unbroken, expanding. Fireworks burst, mirroring the spark in their kiss, a vow renewed under indifferent stars. Yet beneath joy, ripples persisted. Victor's shadow and occasional glares from passers-by, online echoes of old mucks. But Ariana wore them like armor, lighter now, fortified by love's lattice. Mia's daily notes in lunch bags, Lena's mentorship, the staff's familial banter. Haven's End stood taller, a testament that humanity's value lay not in silencing hate, but in amplifying light. One plate, one embrace, one dawn at a time. The idyll fractured on a February morning sharp as frost, when Ariana's phone buzzed with an unknown number. Victor Hargrove's voice, oily and urgent, not venom but velvet coercion. Vasquez, let's talk business. Off record. Coffee, neutral ground. Suspicion coiled, but curiosity and a gambler's instinct won. She agreed, meeting at a midtown cafe anonymous as its steam-fogged windows. He arrived disheveled, tie askew. The tycoon traded for troubled man. Not here to fight, he began, stirring black coffee like a potion. Elaine left me. Filed last week. Said our anniversary was the last straw. Your restaurant showed her what partnership could be. Ariana sipped her latte, masking shock with neutrality. I'm sorry, but what does that have to do with me? Victor's eyes darted, haunted. Everything. I replay that night. My words, your grace. It broke the mirror I lived in. Therapy's digging up rot. Dad's belt for weakness. Boarding school crushes buried deep. I like men, Ariana. Always did. Hid it in boardrooms and brides. Confession hung heavy, a mirror turned on her own buried pains. the internalized shame that once made her question every touch with Sophia. "Why tell me?" she pressed, voice even. He shrugged, defeated. "Redemption? Or just to say, you won without swinging. Teach me that." They talked hours, walls crumbling. Victor's funding for LGBTQ shelters, anonymous at first, then proud. Ariana's guarded counsel on coming out late, the terror and freedom intertwined. "Start small," she advised. "A call to your daughter. Truth over empire." Spring thawed into tentative alliance. Victor attending a Havens fundraiser incognito, his donation the largest, check presented with trembling hands. "For the Havens we all need." Mia eyed him wary at first, but softened over shared plates, her insight sharp. People change when mirrors crack right. Their love, meanwhile, ventured new depths, a trip to Mexico, Ariana's roots calling, where they wandered cobbled streets in Oaxaca, hands laced under marigold arches. Family dinners with Ramon evolved, stories of abuelas who whispered of same-sex loves in village tales, histories reclaimed. But drama brewed domestic. A rival bistro poached their head chef, whispers of sabotage laced with homophobic barbs in exit interviews. Ariana confronted, only to find the owner a closeted ally pressured by investors, another victor in making. She mentored instead, turning foe to friend, the industry grapevine buzzing with her magnanimity. "You're collecting redemption arcs," Mia teased one evening, massaging knotted shoulders after close, oils scented of lavender and lemongrass. "Says the woman who turned my grief into gardens," Ariana replied, pulling her down for a kiss that deepened into devotion, bodies entwined on silk sheets, explorations whispered with "I love you"s like incantations. Intimacy became ritual. Date nights at hole-in-the-wall Takarius, where they fed each other bites, laughing at spice-induced tears. Quiet Sundays curating playlists of Sapphic anthems, voices harmonizing in off-key bliss. Summer swelled with festivals. Haven's booth at Pride a riot of color, rainbow churros, Mia's invention drawing lines. Ariana keynote a panel on queer entrepreneurship, her words electric. "Mockery is the world's cheapest currency. We trade in gold, community, courage, connection." Applause thundered, but backstage, vulnerability struck, a fan's hug triggering a panic echo of Sophia's frail frame, breath hitching. Mia was there, grounding with palm to chest. "Breathe with me. You're here, safe, loved." Fall's palette painted challenges anew, a city health inspection rigged by spiteful exes, citations nitpicky as grudges. Ariana fought paperwork wars, Mia holding the home front with experimental menus that innovated through stress, fusion tacos blending her Irish roots with Ariana's Mexican fire. Ramon stepped up, volunteering repairs with calloused hands, his presence a quiet evolution. "Proud of you, Mija. Both of you." Thanksgiving gathered their patchwork family, Lena's mac and cheese, Victor's awkward pie, his first bake, lopsided but earnest, toasts circling gratitude's wheel. As plates cleared, Ariana slipped away to Sophia's nook, journal in hand, adding a new entry. "Loving Mia doesn't erase you, it echoes you forward." Mia found her, rapping from behind. "Room for one more?" They wrote together, words a tapestry of triune loves. Winter whispered endings and beginnings. Victor's public coming out, a op-ed in the Times raw with regret, crediting Ariana's grace. From mockery to mirror, the headline read, sparking national dialogue. Backlash hit, pickets at Havens, slurs spray-painted anew, but support swelled tenfold, celebrities dining to show solidarity. New Year's brought proposal redux. On one knee in the snow-draped alley, Mia offering a ring forged from Sophia's gold, reset with emeralds for their shared green-eyed fire. "Marry me, not despite the storms, but through them." Ariana's yes was a sob laugh, sealing with a kiss as fireworks cracked overhead. Their wedding bloomed in spring, rooftop vows under blooming jacarandas, guests a mosaic, Ramon tearful, Elaine beaming with her daughter, out and embraced, Victor toasting with sincerity. Vows exchanged. I choose you, in uniforms and uprisings, in quiet and quake. Rings slipped on, simple bands etched with intertwined roses, Sophia's bloom, their thorns. Haven's End post-nuptial hummed with honeymoon glow, a month in Napa, vineyard tours hand in hand, nights tangled in linen overlooking vines. Return brought expansion plans, a second location in Brooklyn, queer-led, community-owned. Life flared, fostering a teen runaway, her sketches adorning walls. Mia's cookbook deal, recipes laced with love notes. Years folded forward, challenges inevitable, a recession pinching margins, health scares testing resilience, Mia's appendectomy, Ariana's vigil-side whispers. But love's grammar held, forgiveness for Victor's relapses into old habits, pride in his advocacy, mending with Ramon's fading health, stories bedside like bombs. Decades mark. Haven's 10th anniversary gala, tables groaning under feasts, speeches weaving legacy. Ariana, 42 now, silver threading dark hair, stood with Mia, 38 and freckled eternal. From mocked to matriarch, she quipped, drawing laughs. But in quiet after, arms entwined, she murmured, "You made the ending beautiful." Mia's reply, "Not ending, eternal." In that, the human truth, love, once ridiculed, becomes the richest inheritance, served not in spite, but in spite of, a banquet for the brave. Eternal, perhaps, but eternity tested its mettle in the quiet erosion of routine, where complacency could dull even the sharpest blades. 5 years post-wedding, with their foster daughter Lila, a wiry 13-year-old with Mia's freckles from adoption papers and Ariana's defiant chin, thriving in art classes funded by Haven scholarships, a new shadow loomed. Burnout, insidious as fog off the East River. Ariana woke one dawn to empty sheets, Mia already in the kitchen, staring at blueprints for the Brooklyn expansion with eyes hollowed by exhaustion. "Can't sleep?" Ariana asked, wrapping arms around from behind, chin to shoulder. Mia leaned back, but tension hummed like a taut string. Numbers aren't adding. Investors want cuts, streamlined staff, code for firing the queer vets we hired first. And Lila's school drama. Bullies calling her charity case because of us. The words landed heavy, echoes of Ariana's youth, but amplified by parenthood's prism. Lila, rescued from a group home echo chamber of neglect, had blossomed here. Murals on her bedroom walls, family dinners raucous with inside jokes, yet the world nipped at heels. They talked till sunrise, coffee cooling untouched, forging a pact, boundaries redrawn, therapy sessions booked for the triad. "We're the haven," Mia said, fierce through fatigue. "For her, for us." Sessions unearthed strata, Ariana's overwork masking grief's aftershocks, Mia's perfectionism rooted in abandonment fears. Lila joined family ones, her sketches evolving from chaos swirls to anchored ships, voice gaining ground. "I love you guys. Rainbow moms forever." Expansion pressed, a gauntlet of negotiations where old ghosts resurfaced, a board member with Hargrove ties, sly digs at woke overhead. Ariana channeled Sophia's spirit, calm rebuttals laced with data, retention rates soaring in inclusive teams, profits from loyal queer clientele. Victor, now an elder statesman in advocacy, testified remotely, "I learned from this woman, invest in people, not pedigrees." The deal closed greenlit, Brooklyn's site breaking ground amid cheers, Lila's handprint in the cornerstone. Summer's heat wave brought levity. A family road trip to the Grand Canyon, windows down to classic rock, pit stops for greasy diners where they swapped road stories, Mia's wild college escapades, Ariana's Bronx block parties, Lila's dreams of graphic novels starring superqueer heroes. Evenings by campfire, Asmore's sticky sweet, truths roasted tender. "Scared I'll mess up like my bio folks," Lila admitted one night, flames flickering doubt. Ariana pulled her close. "Messes make us. We chose you, flaws and all. Fall harvested abundance. Brooklyn's soft open a triumph. Menu mirroring Manhattan's soul with twists. Kimchi empanadas nodding to Lila's Korean heritage. But personal tides turned. Ramon's diagnosis, pancreatic, stage 4, a thief in the night. Ariana flew home weekly, Mia and Lila alternating, the loft echoing with absence. Hospital vigils blended tears and tales. Ramon recounting border crossings, Ariana forgiving in whispers, "You came back to me, Papa." His last words, hand in hers. "To Amor. It's the real fortune, Mija." Grief carved deep post-passing, a winter of what-ifs, but spring coaxed growth. A memorial tamale festival at Havens proceeds to immigrant aid, Ramon's recipes centerpiece. Lila designed the poster, a phoenix rising from masa dough, her art therapy blooming into exhibitions. Midlife beckoned with reinvention. Ariana, 47, eyeing mentorships beyond walls, consulting for queer startups, her book pitch, tables turned, from server to sovereign, landing a deal. Mia, 43, launched a food truck collective for marginalized chefs, parked outside festivals, flavors a chorus of cultures. Lila, 18 by then, headed to RASD on scholarship, portfolio brimming with narratives of chosen families. Challenges cycled. A pandemic echo in supply shortages. Lila's coming out heartbreak with a first love gone toxic. Victor's relapse into isolation after a partner's passing. But resilience ritualized. Weekly Haven huddles at home. Dinners dissecting days. Affirmations circling like grace. Love evolved intimate. Anniversaries in Napa cabins. Rediscovering bodies with candlelit curiosity. Quiet intimacies post kids off to college, where touches lingered exploratory, laughter lines mapping joy. Decade 20, a joint anniversary gala, twins in milestone, Haven's 20th, their 10th foster to forever with Lila, now aunt to her own queer-chosen kin. Speeches soared. Elaine, widowed but winged, toasting growth, a graying Victor, hand in new husbands, crediting origins. Ariana and Mia slow dance center floor, silver-streaked and sure, whispers of "still you" amid strings. After, in the loft now peopled with photos, Sophia's smile, Ramon's grin, Lila's grad cap, they made love unhurried, bodies a language of longevity, caresses reverent, gasps grateful. "What now?" Mia murmured, head on chest. Ariana smiled into dark.
More.
Always more. Legacy layered. Scholarships in Sophia's name. Community fridges stocked year-round. Lila's graphic novel debuting to acclaim. Haven Hearts. Tales of Love's Labyrinths. Mockery's memory faded to footnote, supplanted by symphony. Lives touched, tables turned. Humanity harvested in full. In twilight years, as aches settled companionable, Ariana reflected from a porch swing in their upstate retreat. Haven's franchised but heart-held. Mia beside, hands laced eternal. "We made it meaningful," she said, sunset gilding faces. Mia's kiss answered, soft as promise, from mocked to mythic. Love's tale endures, a feast unending. Mythic, yes, but myths breathe in the mortal coil, where even legends face the unraveling thread of time. At 55, Ariana felt the first serious fray, a heart arrhythmia, diagnosed during a routine check shadowed by family history, the same thief that claimed Ramon. Minor procedure, the cardiologist assured, but the word minor rang hollow against monitors' beeps, Mia's vigil white face in the pre-op haze. "I'll be fine," Ariana promised, squeezing hand, but fear flickered. Visions of Sophia's bed, unfinished recipes, Lila's unborn grandkids untold. Surgery succeeded, a stent bridging the breach, but recovery reshaped rhythms, weeks off feet, delegating to capable crews. Mia's soup's a daily sacrament. Vulnerability visited anew. What if I can't keep up? Ariana confessed one rainy afternoon, propped in bed with laptop idle. Mia knelt, eyes fierce tender. Keep up? You've lapped the world. Rest is rebellion too. Lila flew in, 24 and fierce, sketching bedside caricatures to coax laughs, her presence a bridge to futures. Rehab walks along the Hudson became meditations, Mia matching stride, conversations circling legacies, updating wills with Lila's input, endowing a foundation for queer immigrant artists, Vasquez Mia grants, blending names like fusion cuisine. Victor, 70 and reflective, visited post-discharge, bringing rare books on resilience, his own health waning but spirit schooled. You taught me grace under scalpel, mine's next prostate. Shared war stories over tea, bonds forged in frailty's fire. Summer's reprise brought renewal. A cruise to Alaska, fjords framing reflections, literal and lit. Deckside, wrapped in blankets, they renewed vows impromptu, officiated by a tipsy Lila via video. In sickness and strength, Mia vowed, ring kissed anew. Nights in cabin portholes starred sea, bodies navigating with adapted intimacies, pillows propped, touches mapped around scars, pleasure a patient art. Fall's harvest yielded Lila's wedding, to Jordan a non-binary sculptor with ink-sleeved arms and a laugh like thunder, ceremony at Havens, Brooklyn, under a chuppah woven of restaurant linens. Ariana walked her down an aisle of wildflowers, tears blurring vows. You chose us. We choose you eternal. Toasts flowed, Mia's recipe for love, equal parts spice and steady, Jordan's ode to the moms who built bridges from Bronx to bliss. Winter whispered warnings anew. Mia's diagnosis, breast cancer early stage, caught in routine mammograms shadowed by her mother's history. Role reversal stung sweet. Ariana the caregiver now, broths brewed, appointments armored. Your turn to hover. Mia quipped through chemo curls shedding, but fear shadowed eyes. Lila rallied, Jordan studio a haven for art therapy sessions, canvases blooming defiant. Treatment triumphed, remission a hard-won dawn, but the year etched empathy deeper. Joint speaking tour on Love's Long Haul, stages from TEDx to college halls, stories of survival stripped raw. Cancer doesn't discriminate. Ariana shared Mia's hand anchor, but love does, it chooses fight. Audiences wept, books signed till wrists ached, proceeds fueling oncology wings for underserved queer communities. Spring's thaw mirrored inner blooms, a pilgrimage to Sophia's grave in the Bronx, wildflowers laid, journals read aloud. Mia's voice joining the chorus, honoring without eclipsing. She's part of our polyphony, she said, arm-linked. Back home, they planted a rose garden in the upstate yard, thorns and blooms a living vow. Mid-60s brought grandparenting's glee. Lila's twins, Kai and Rio, towhead whirlwinds with Jordan's creativity, weekends at Abuela's filled with fort-building and story hours, tales of the mocked waitress turned titan, simplified for tiny ears, and the mean people learned to be kind. Mia's Truck Collective expanded nationwide, franchises mentoring young queer chefs, her cookbook sequel, Feasts of Fortitude, bestseller. Challenges cycled gentler, a libel suit from a disgruntled ex-investor, quashed by Victor's legal eagles, now a lie's eternal. Climate protests disrupting deliveries, met with solar retrofits at Havens. Intimacy adapted graceful. Lubricants and laughter, positions pioneered playful, connection and glances across crowded kitchens. 70 dawned reflective, a retrospective exhibit of Lila's work at MoMA, family front row, canvases chronicling their saga, from brick-through-window shards to rainbow riots. Ariana keynote the opening. Life mocks us all, rich, poor, straight, bent. Value lies in the human weave, threads of forgiveness, love's loom. After, in a quiet gallery corner, Mia pulled her close. Proud, Ariana nodded, foreheads touching.
Of us.
Always. Their kiss, silver-haired and sure, drew whistles from grandkids, a circle complete. 80s crept compassionate, aches chronic but shared, travels traded for porches, stories swapped with neighbors, a retired couple down the road, their own late-blooming queer tale mirroring. Victor passed peacefully at 85, obituary lauding redemption's arc, memorial at Haven's a standing room love fest. 90s horizon. Ariana and Mia, frail but fierce, in matching wheelchairs at the garden, hands laced, watching sunsets gild roses. Lila's kids, teens now, read from Sophia's journals, voices bridging generations. What advice, abuelas? One asks. Ariana smiles, Mia's head on shoulder. Love loud. Forgive fierce. Serve always. As stars pricked dusk, their final words entwined. From mockery to meaning, we owned it all. In that, the tale's truth, lesbian love, once lampooned, legacy lights the way, a restaurant of the soul, open eternal. The eternal open, however, closes softly when stars call home, and in their 93rd year, as autumn leaves carpeted the upstate garden like a final feast, Mia slipped away first, in sleep, hand in Ariana's, breath easing into eternity's sigh. The room held hush after, dawn light filtering through lace curtains Sophia once chose, casting patterns like benedictions on the bed. Ariana lay still, memorizing the weight of absence, tears silent as snowfall, until Lila arrived, Jordan trailing with coffee, the twins, now young adults, hovering with quiet strength. She went peaceful, Lila whispered, curling beside, head to shoulder as in childhood vigils reversed. Morning unfolded measured, a celebration at Haven's Brooklyn, not somber suits but sundresses and songs, Mia's playlist booming, empanadas passed like communion, toasts to her fire. She spiced our world, and damn, she burned bright. Victor's widower attended, arm linked with Elaine's, reconciled in later graces, their shared losses a bond beyond old battles. Grief's geometry shifted Ariana's world, days blurred in the loft, once theirs, now echo chamber of her alone. But legacy pulled, the foundation thriving, scholarships blooming scholars who wrote theses on queer culinary histories, Mia's trucks of fleet-feeding festivals from Coachella to Carnival. Lila urged therapy, for the village that raised me, and sessions unearthed not just loss, but latitude, space for new chapters, even in twilight. Winter warmed with visits, grandkids' college breaks filled with board games and baking marathons, recipes recited from memory, a pinch of Mia's mischief. Spring coaxed a memoir sequel, echoes at empty tables, ghost-ridden with Lila's aid, pages pouring pain into purpose, chapters on widowhood's wilds, love's postscripts. Publishers clamored, launch at the original Soho Haven a pilgrimage, fans queuing blocks, stories swapped of Mia's impact, a mural unveiled, her silhouette wielding whisk and wand, red hair aflame. Summer solstice brought pilgrimage redux, ashes scattered in Oaxaca's Zocalo, marigolds floating on fountains, family toasting under stars. To the chef who conquered hearts, Jordan intoned, and Ariana felt Mia's laugh in the breeze, a nudge toward living, not just lingering. Fall's equinox marked turning. At 95, Ariana stepped back from daily ops, board seat passed to Lila, who infused it with digital dreams, VR tours of queer history via menus. Your turn a guest, Lila said, eyes twinkling. Freedom unfurled tentative, painting classes where brushes evoked Sophia's sketches, volunteer shifts at a local shelter, stories swapped with elders over tea, tales of hidden loves in eras harsher. Intimacies shifted solitary but sacred, self-touches reminiscent of early explorations, journals filled with letters to Mia, miss your snore, love your legacy, dreams where she danced with both, Sophia and Mia, hands linking triune. Friendships flowered late, a book club of widows and widowers, queer and otherwise, evenings dissecting Dickinson with drams of mezcal. Centennial neared luminous, a national holiday dubbed Haven Day by advocates, honoring spaces like hers, parades in Soho, floats rainbow-ribboned, Ariana Grand Marshal in wheelchair festooned with roses. Speeches lauded. From one woman's stand, a movement served. Tears flowed free, grandkids wheeling her, chants of Ariana, Ariana, a chorus of reclaimed power. Winter's close, in the garden snow-draped, she gathered kin, Lila graying graceful, Jordan sculptures dotting yard, great-grandkids toddling with tales untold. The story, a great-grand asked, nestled close. Ariana smiled, voice reedy but resonant. Once, a rich couple mocked a lesbian waiter, me, at their anniversary, till they learned I owned the place. But the real twist? Love owned me, Sophia's light, Mia's fire, your futures. It turned mockery to meaning, hate to harvest. And that's the feast that feeds forever. As sun dipped, final breath eased, family, round like constellations. In that passing, no regret, only richness, a life where lesbian love, once lampooned, lit legacies luminous, tables eternally set for triumph, tenderness, the human divine.